Talk show legend Phil Donahue says mainstream media is doing a disservice by only showing images like these of the war in Iraq.
This is the most sanitized war ever. We don't see this pain. We say we do, but we don't. We don't feel it. It's below the radar. We're not even worried. Iraq is no longer even the number one thing that we worry about anymore.
Donahue and filmmaker Ellen Spiro produced and directed Body of War. 3 years in the making, the documentary tells the story of Thomas Young, a 22-year-old who enlisted in the Army 2 days after the 9/11 terrorist attacks. Young's inspiration? President Bush.
When I made the phone call on September 13th, it was because I saw the pictures of him standing on top of the pile saying that we were going to smoke the evildoers out that did this to us and we were going to find them in their caves.
He signed up thinking he'd be sent to Afghanistan. Instead, he was sent to Iraq. In March 2004, just a few days after he arrived, Young was shot just above the left collarbone.
For the Iraqis on the top of the roof, it just looked like, ducks in a barrel.
The injury left him paralyzed from the chest down. Body of War shows Young struggling with his injuries while finding his voice, speaking out against President Bush and the war in Iraq.
I also would like to demand a meeting with the president because I feel he owes me some explanations as to why a soldier can volunteer to go over and fight for his country and lose his ability to walk, plus a lot of other important functions, and why I am not worth the funding for stem cell research.
Our film shows the people who are dissenting, many of them military families. And they love America more than the critics do.
One critic of Phil Donahue and Body of War is retired Lieutenant Colonel Robert Letty. A 31-year veteran of the Marine Corps, Letty says the film should have included voices of those who support the war and back President Bush.
Politics is one thing. If you don't support and stand behind the troops and stand in front of them, and my concern is, freedom is not free. You have to look at overall what is it we're trying to accomplish. Was the president's decision right to do? I didn't have the intelligence in my hand to make that decision. I have to let them. That's who we elect. We got to stand behind the person we elect. If we don't like the things, vote them out.
Donahue says he's critical of the Bush administration and the elected officials who voted to invade Iraq, not the U.S. troops.
There are millions of people in this nation who believe that if a president calls a war, you have to shut up and sing and salute. This is not the America my parents raised me to pledge my allegiance to.
Body of War is a political story showing the Senate roll call on the vote to invade Iraq and the speeches that surrounded that vote.
The gun smokes only after it is fired.
A gun smokes after it's been fired.
That smoking gun would be a smoking city.
But it also gets extremely personal, showing everything from Young's struggle with his new physical limitations to an emotional farewell for his brother who is shipping off to serve in Iraq.
Out of here. Okay, bye, baby. I love you.
Body of War is now showing in select theaters. Reggie Aki, CNN, Atlanta.